Snowflakes cascaded gently across the undulating hills of Montana as 43-year-old William Carter steered his steed along the well-known path from town back to his sprawling ranch. The wintry air was fresh and invigorating, whispering, and promises of a tranquil evening beside the hearth, accompanied solely by his musings and a beloved novel. William had adapted to solitude in the 5 years since his wife Anna had departed this world, finding solace in the steady cadence of ranch life and the earnest toil that filled his hours. Clad in a robust grey overcoat to fend off the chill, his rugged hands gripped the reins with assurance as his horse navigated cautiously through the snowdrifts. At 43, he embodied the quiet confidence of a man who had forged something substantial through his own labor, taking pride in the simple truth that his livestock flourished, his land thrived, and his word was his honor. As William approached the curve near Dawson Stream, an unexpected sound halted him abruptly. Amid the soft murmur of falling snow, he discerned the unmistakable wail of an infant, followed by a woman's voice offering tender, comforting words. William dismounted with care and traced the sound to a modest cluster of trees that provided partial refuge from the biting wind. What he encountered there would forever reshape his understanding of both cruelty and compassion. A young woman sat huddled against the sturdy trunk of a towering oak, her pale gown tattered and stained, her chestnut locks cascading loosely over her shoulders. In her embrace and carefully arranged in the snow around her were 3 tiny newborns, infants scarcely a few hours old. Visible bruises marred her face and arms, stark evidence of recent violence, yet her focus remained wholly on shielding her babies from the cold and soothing their distress. William approached with deliberate caution, mindful not to alarm someone who had clearly endured profound trauma. "Ma'am," he called softly, his voice imbued with heartfelt concern, "are you injured? May I offer you assistance?" The woman lifted her gaze, her eyes a poignant blend of fear and desperate hope. She appeared to be in her mid-20s, and despite her evident exhaustion and wounds, a fierce maternal resolve radiated from the way she cradled her children. "Please," she whispered, her voice fragile yet resolute, "please do not harm us. We have no other refuge." William's heart constricted as the full gravity of the scene dawned upon him. This woman had recently given birth to triplets and now found herself stranded in a snowstorm, evidently fleeing from someone or something that had inflicted great harm. "I am William Carter," he said, tipping his hat in the courteous gesture. His mother had instilled in him decades ago. "I own a ranch 2 miles hence, and I vow to you, I mean you, no ill. May I know your name?" "Emma," she replied, her tone wary but tinged with a glimmer of relief. "Emma Lawson, and these are my daughters," she said, gesturing to the 3 tiny infants swaddled in fragments of her own attire. William knelt beside Emma in the snow, noting how she instinctively shifted to shield her babies, despite his non-threatening demeanor. "Emma, you and your girls will perish in this cold. Allow me to take you to a place of warmth and safety." "I possess no funds," Emma said swiftly. "I cannot compensate you for your aid." "I seek no payment," William replied, his voice gentle yet resolute. "I ask only that you permit me to do what any honorable person would when they find a mother and her newborns in peril." William could see Emma grappling with her decision, torn between fear of trusting a stranger and the stark reality that her daughters would not endure the night in such conditions. "Emma," he said, his voice steady with the calm authority he used with skittish creatures, "I give you my solemn word as a man of faith and a father that you will be secure in my home. You and your girls need warmth, sustenance, and care, and I can provide those." Something in William's earnest demeanor seemed to reassure Emma. She nodded slowly, tears welling in her eyes as hope began to eclipse her despair. William gently assisted Emma to her feet, then tenderly gathered the 3 infants in his overcoat to shield them from the piercing wind. The tiny girls were remarkably serene, as if sensing their survival hinged on this compassionate stranger who had emerged like a beacon of hope. The journey back to William's ranch was deliberate and cautious, with Emma riding behind him and the babies nestled securely between them. William marveled at the miracle of 3 healthy infants and pondered the cruel circumstances that had left their mother in such dire straits. Upon arriving at the ranch house, William moved with practiced efficiency, kindling the fire in the main room, gathering warm blankets and preparing milk and broth, while Emma settled with her daughters near the hearth's comforting glow. "Emma," William said, offering her a steaming cup of broth, "I need not know the details of your ordeal, but you are welcome to remain here as long as you require to heal and plan your future." Emma surveyed the tidy, inviting home, feeling a flicker of security she had not known in months. "William, I must share the truth," she said softly, her voice heavy with emotion. "My husband expelled us when he saw all 3 babies were girls. He declared I had failed him by not bearing sons and forbade my return." William felt a surge of indignation toward a man who could abandon his wife and newborns, but he maintained a calm and reassuring tone. "Emma, any man who treats his family so callously is unworthy of the titles of husband or father. These girls are precious gifts, not burdens." Over the ensuing days, William observed as Emma gradually began to trust the sanctuary of his home. She was a devoted mother, dedicating every moment to nurturing her daughters, whom she named Joy, Hope, and Faith. William was deeply touched by the tender manner in which Emma spoke to her children and the profound love that flowed between them. "They are beautiful girls," William remarked one day, watching Emma feed one triplet while the others slumbered peacefully nearby. "Any parent would be immensely proud to have such healthy, lovely daughters." "I cherish them more than my own life," Emma replied, her voice thick with emotion. "Yet I fret over how I shall provide for them. My skills are limited to homemaking, and caring for 3 infants makes finding employment nearly impossible." William had been contemplating the same concern. His ranch was prosperous enough to sustain a larger household, and since Anna's passing, his home had felt hollow and purposeless. Moreover, he had grown to admire Emma's gentle spirit and the warmth her daughters brought to his life. "Emma," he said one evening as they sat by the fire after the babies were settled, "I have a proposal, but I urge you to consider it thoughtfully." Emma regarded him with curiosity and a hint of apprehension. "I wish to ask you to marry me," William continued, his voice earnest and heartfelt. "Not because you need rescuing, but because you and your girls have reminded me of the joy of family. I can provide for you all, and I vow to love and protect those girls as my own." Emma remained silent for a long moment, gazing into the fire as she weighed his words with care. "William, you scarcely know me. How can you be certain this is your desire?" "I know you are a devoted mother who would do anything for her children," William replied. "I know you are kind, gentle, and grateful for simple acts of decency. I know you have brought joy and purpose to a house that was merely a place to rest. That is a robust foundation for a lasting marriage." Emma looked at this man, who had appeared in her darkest hour like a guardian angel, offering not merely shelter but a future for her daughters. "Yes," she said softly, her voice trembling with newfound hope. "I would be honored to become your wife." 6 months hence, William and Emma were wed in the town's quaint church, with Joy, Hope, and Faith slumbering peacefully in a basket beside the altar. The community embraced the family, marveling at how 3 tiny girls had transformed a lonely widower into a proud father and devoted husband. William legally adopted the triplets, bestowing upon them his name and ensuring they would inherit his ranch equally. He often declared that rescuing Emma and her daughters from the snow had in truth been the moment they rescued him from a life devoid of meaning. Emma learned that sometimes life's greatest tragedies pave the way for blessings beyond imagination. Her husband's cruelty had guided her to a man who cherished daughters as much as sons, and understood that a family's strength lies not in its size or composition, but in the love that binds it. Joy, hope, and faith grew up knowing they were treasured, not only by their mother but by the man who chose to be their father when they needed one most. They learned that families are not always forged by blood, but sometimes by the simple choice to love unconditionally and open our hearts to those in need.